If you're looking for a gaming mouse right now in 2020, there's been so many fantastic releases in the past like 12 to 18 months that many of our top mice for 2019 still apply today. But since then, there's been so many small releases that don't get much exposure, and this is what this video is about. I want to shine some light on some of the mice that you might have missed in the midst of all the chaos. My gaming history revolves around competitive CSGO gameplay, EFT, and just really learning the mechanics and the gunplay per title, and I don't really play Call of Duty because optimizing shaders for life, my gosh. But obviously these mice still will be totally fine for all types of genres. As usual, all the product links will be listed in the description below. Thank you very much. So we have the latest Razer Deathadder V2 Mini, which is too mini in my opinion, but we'll get to that later. We have the new glorious Model D minus. It's like the smaller Model D. Insert your small D jokes here. Also bonus points for anyone who can recognize what this is. And a surprise presence from Drevo with their first mouse, the Drevo Falcon. The mouse that surprised me the most, especially at its price point. So let's see exactly what's so special about these mice and whether or not they should be considered worthy for 2020 right after this. Say hello to proper airflow with Be Quiet Pure Base 500DX, a compact mid-tower with a mesh front panel and 3 140mm Pure Wings 2 fans that are silent and capable. Enjoy tasteful ARGB illumination, a Type-C port, and an easy case to work in. Check it out below. Alright, so before we get into the main 3-pack, let's talk about some of the honorable mentions that have kind of launched under the radar and have not received that much exposure, starting with the Steelseries Sensei 10 Neon Rider Edition. As a mouse itself, it's identical to the Sensei 10. I've done a full review, but no modifications here on the Neon Rider. It's just the skin on top of it, and it's a really damn cool one. It's purple, it's vibrant, it goes after the Neon Rider skins from CSGO. Simply put, it's a beautiful mouse, and you can also get an accompanying mouse mat that is not RGB and a slightly wider RGB mouse mat, which look fantastic. Unfortunately though, technically the mouse is nothing special. It's not super lightweight, the cable is kind of janky, it's rubber, it's not the Speedflex cables or the really light cables that we've come to really love and expect. The scroll wheel is a bit too soft, the primary clicks are a bit muddy. Really the advantage here with the Sensei 10 is the TrueMove Pro sensor, up to 18,000 dpi. It's super accurate and fantastic, and it's also one of the few mice on the market that is truly ambidextrous. So we have both browser buttons on each side, so you can program it to both right hand operation or left hand. So at least from the cool color scheme, I at least appreciate them catering to left hand users. And the reason why I'm showing it is because I want more companies to follow in the steps of Steelseries, of introducing some really beautiful life into the mice space that follows some sort of cool design. Which is why I also want to mention the XTRFY M4 Street Edition, and this one's unfortunately only limited to 4,000 units. It's a very unconventional approach to coloring a mouse. It's kind of a cool colorway that you'd expect on the keyboard, but on the mouse, like a blue cable, some green accents, white sides, black top, different colored browser buttons even. I would love to see this pattern continue across Logitech, across Razer. Doing something cool like this will definitely get people excited about your brand and your mouse. Another favorite thing about the M4 is that it is driverless, so you don't have to install anything. Everything is controlled with like a button combination, and you can see which DPI you're using at the bottom with its own DPI indicator. The sensor is trusted 3389. The switches are Omron at 20 million clicks. It's a 69 gram body as well, and the only kind of weird thing is the cable is that it's a bit too thick and kinks way too easily. The feet, however, are PTFE and the glide is super smooth. This is the ergonomic mouse for me. Absolutely love the shape. It's one of my top 3 for sure. Which brings us to the main 3, starting with the Deathadder V2 Mini. And this thing is, man, it is odd. When I put my hand right next to it, it completely kind of disappears. It almost feels like a mouse for kids or for babies. Maybe that is Razer's strategy of attracting like some younger gamers into the Razer cult, but right next to the original or the standard Deathadder V2, you can see the size difference, and the V2 Mini is absolutely too mini for me. Specs wise though, it's a super lightweight mouse at 62 grams with this ergonomic design. It uses Razer's optical switches at 70 million clicks, which is the highest in this entire roundup. The SpeedFlex cable is fantastic and light, and we have even additional mouse grips that are included that you can apply to either the top or the sides of the body. The sensor goes up to 8500 dpi. It is an optical sensor, and we have standard white PTFE feet. For my hybrid grip style, the standard V2 is a bit too bulky, and the V2 Mini is a bit too small. Like when I put my hand on it, it just disappears. But the reason why I'm including it in here is because technically it is awesome from pretty much all aspects in terms of switches, build quality, sensor, the cable, the feet, and also the additional grip tape is something that we haven't seen any other company include. And this being the smallest mouse in my collection, we finally have a small mouse catered to people with smaller hands, you know, who don't want to settle for something medium that is a bit uncomfortable. Now you have a really ergonomic and fantastic shape that so many people love, but in a small form factor. It's also very affordable, so Razer is competing with many other mice, but are catering to people with smaller hands. Moving on to the Drevo Falcon, and this one's super interesting because it is an almost identical shape to the Logitech G Pro Wireless. The body of the Falcon is a little bit smaller than the G Pro Wireless, but in terms of the shape, to me at least, they feel pretty identical. For $39, this type of shape is super welcoming in the community because it is super comfortable for hybrid and claw, and I guess palm if your hands are small. It is a lightweight mouse at only 70 grams. It's using the Pixar 3389 sensor, which is fantastic. That goes up to 16,000 dpi, and a ultra soft cable. The sleeving here looks very similar to what Razer is using. It's super soft. There's a bunch of kinks like in the cable. My only issue is like the bending of the exit of the cable. I don't know how this will stack up in the long term. Another drawback are the feet. There's nothing special, and the glide here is the poorest out of all mice featured in this video. But it has RGB, all right. That beautiful transparent piece that softens out that entire glow. It looks pretty cool with a honeycomb shell on top. The switches here are pretty decent. The scroll wheel is a bit too soft, but nothing's rattling, and the build quality overall for $39 actually feels better than the glorious D-. So let's move on to that. It's a $49 mouse, just like the original Model D. It's a 61 gram mouse as well, with all the usual features like the Ascendant cord with new packaging, so it's not kinked in the actual package. Smooth G-skates, which are incredible, with additional G-skates included in the box for a smoother glide, so it covers a larger area at the bottom. The sensor here is the Pixar 3360, fantastic, with the DPI LED indicator at the bottom so you know which DPI you're using. 20 million clicks on the primary switches, and the software is optional, which is great. You can program your DPI levels in there and just look at the color at the bottom and you're good to go. It is the shape of the mouse that will 100% be the selling point, because it is just slightly smaller than the original Model D, so there isn't that massive size difference like we saw with the V2 and the V2 Mini. My hand just sits on top of the D-. Everything is beautifully supported, all the curves in the right places. Visually, it's also a stunning mouse with the RGB illumination, this like matte coating that looks awesome, but it does have a bit of a flex on the body, only if you're like physically pressing into it, but I don't think it's an issue. Now, both my editing machine and my gaming station have the Cooler Master MM711 mouse. Absolutely love that shape and the lightweight nature. If you love the MM710 or 711, the Model D- will be really comfortable for you as well. The Model D- also comes in white, so you have two color variations. And that actually brings me to another honorable mention. We have the Logitech G203 Lightsync. It is a wired mouse. It's only $39. It's not super lightweight, but the shape is fantastic. It's weird because the mouse is fairly small, but my large hand for hybrid style grip just goes on top of the mouse and I can game for hours. Despite the cable not being super lightweight, I like the rubber nature, so there's no kinking, it will not fray over time. The sensor goes up to 8000 dpi with all your usual software control for the RGB lighting and DPI. I've been running the XTRFY with my Razer notebooks, which is wireless. The battery life lasts forever and the shape is still fantastic. It's the same body too. All right, so I think those are all worthy considerations for 2020 if you're looking for a new gaming mouse that are all pretty much in a lightweight space aside from the Sensei 10. I'm really impressed with the Drevo Falcon for the price point. The shape is awesome, the sensor is great, the switches are fine. The Model D- is one of the few mice that are like perfect for my hand when it comes to ergonomics. You simply put it on top and it just feels really good. I cannot say the same for the Deathadder V2 Mini, but as we've known, the Deathadder shape is fantastic, so when you apply a smaller hand to that shape, it should fit. As usual, I will have all the links down in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Check out this other relevant content. Subscribe for more. I'll talk to you in the next video.